Now introduce Haim Senior, who is the CEO of Knowmail, who will talk about personalized AI to fix the problem of information overload. And as we know, the problem of information overload needs fixing. So, Haim, here we go.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thank you guys for having me. I'm actually very excited to participate in such webinars. I'm just going to share my screen. Yeah. So I think we all, talked about the problem of information overload at work. So I'm not going to dwell on that and switch directly to how personalized AI, or maybe give an overview about artificial intelligence in general. So the same way we've been struggled with numbers back in the early 90s, we had to fix that. So we've invented a computer as a human being. And I believe that we are on the next phase of inventing the next generation computing, which is obviously based on the fact that we can now invent machines that can mimic some of our thinking or some of our decision making. So with that, we find a lot of technologies, a lot of companies that are implemented some kind of personalized AI in their portfolio, in their offerings. We can find that today. It's in search. I don't know how many of you now switch to page 2 or page 3 on Google. When it comes to e-commerce, I know I've made most of my purchases out of the personalized catalog, which is the recommended products that fits my day-to-day, or how many kids I have, etc. We know a lot of effort that being done by Facebook and other social networks to introduce social feed, which is a personalized feed for individuals. And of course, the verge of virtual assistant, which is now the hottest kind of a topic within, I believe it's going to be the next 5 to 10 years, the way we potentially can change the way we consume messaging, or the way we consume information in general. So those 4 domains basically adopted personalized AI in a sense of helping us in, handling information overload. And my guess that I believe that it also can be done on the corporate level as well. So my educated guess, during the 4 years of research, I found that a lot of the things that we do online are residing some kind of a pattern within them. So it's either a specific way or behaviors that we use to process emails. That could be a specific topics or specific interest for us inside the corporations, whether it's a project or people that we communicate with. And I find that personalized AI can greatly improve the way we do work, and specifically the way we handle information overload. But the thing is, there's a few barriers of entries to it, which I believe they are still under development. So they're not overcome yet. And I believe that one of them, the major one, is obviously trust. So assuming you have a machine that mimic to a certain point your decision-making about information, and now that machine decides what's important for you, or when you should consume a specific information. With that in mind, this is obviously something you should develop trust in it. So it's not something you can rely from day one, and it's very, very important both on the experience level, but as well as the algorithmic and the accuracy level, to make sure that you are indeed creating such trust within a product. Second is obviously privacy, and I think we talked a little bit about that in the previous webinars, what is currently being done on the privacy level. And obviously in corporations, it's much more difficult to extract private information outside of the company, specifically in Europe. So privacy is a big challenge that should be addressed. And the way we address it today is with something called anonymized learning. And it's being done just recently. Google announced that they're stopped reading your emails on Gmail. Recently, Apple announced that they stopped taking whatever you're typing on inside an iPhone keyboard into their cloud, and they're using their learning based on a statistical and anonymized information. And this is definitely a practice that should be implemented inside corporations, specifically inside a learning system. The third element, which is yet to be solved from the big corporations, and definitely is a privilege for a startup company, is the loyalty part, which is in most cases when you don't pay for something, you usually the product itself. So basically, the way those companies monetize on data is being done either violating your privacy or making some kind of effort to present you with information that might generate more revenue to that company. So loyalty is very important, and I think the best solution will adopt a loyalty framework that's suitable for individuals and not for the corporate who developed that application or developed that solution. So loyalty is a big thing as well in developing something called personalized AI. So the things that you can potentially do with personalized AI are those things that, or best practices that we talked about in changing our behavior. Now, we can decide to change our behavior, but it will definitely last up to a certain extent. We all come with different behaviors. Some are good and some are bad. And it's very difficult to change as individual. And therefore, personalized artificial intelligence can basically leverage those goodness on your behaviors and reduce or eliminate some of the bad things you do while communicating. As an example, people talk about filing into a specific folder in order to clean up your inbox and making sure it's continue to stay clean. This is easily can be done by machine learning, or it can easily be done by an artificial intelligence predicting what folder that message might fit in. And using that automation is definitely something that can expedite your processing time. The second is unified consumption. I believe that one of our biggest problems is the fact that we're using too many applications. And obviously we need to use them at work because this is what makes us better at work. So with that in mind, if we have kind of a machine that crawl this entire repository of information and decide based on my behaviors, patterns, interest, what are the things that are going to be most relevant in a specific point in time, that's definitely going to reduce the amount of screens that I will have to use while processing communication. The third element is something called smarter notifications. So everyone is talking about smart notification, but smarter notification is a personalized one. To turn off all notification is something which is very scary. And specifically, if you're owning a quota, if you need to be able to solve 500 tickets from your clients, that's something which is very, very difficult to shut down. So smart notification is basically the ability to get rid of FOMO, to be able to present only the urgent stuff that requires your attention at the moment. And that's something that is definitely can be done with artificial intelligence, assuming, again, we protect your privacy, trust, and loyalty. The less effort part is basically the part that provide better engagement. So people are disconnecting or detoxing from digital today, and we heard that in previous presentations. And the way of kind of solving it is the ability to provide automation that you can trust on and can rely on. And with that, also knowing that if you extract only the relevant information out of the entire clutter, that will probably, in a good chance, will provide you with a better engagement. And then making time is to improve the balance between work and life. And eventually, I believe one of the key things that artificial intelligence, and specifically personalized artificial intelligence, can help us is to safer commute. I know, at least according to researchers, but I can vouch myself, I tend to sometimes look at my phone when I'm driving, and this is obviously not safe, but I'm doing that out of the afraid that I will miss something important or that someone is waiting for my answers, and that's obviously something we should get rid of. And we can do that today because voice has become so much developed. It's just a matter of what kind of things you would like that voice to echo. So that's something which is very powerful. Now, this slide, I call it the overcoming of science fiction, because a lot of the things discussed about artificial intelligence are the ones that people call science fiction. So whether a machine will replace our job, whether we will not, think anymore in the next decade because a machine will take the heavy lifting for us. So I don't believe that is yet to become. And I believe that we're still behind on compute power. I think that, even though Intel is doing a great job, there's still room for improvement, specifically when it comes to mobile devices. Distributed logic is something which is very common and known around high processing processes. which in most cases in artificial intelligence, you bring all the data to a central location and you do the processing on that data centrally. That definitely something that needs to be changed. And third element is the ability to actually fuse different sources of data, which is, again, it's an open challenge to everyone who builds artificial intelligence to see how they can find common denominator between voice and video and text and metadata and stuff that are not yet to be found as to a kind of a central model that compose all those different channels. A project that I'm working on, and hopefully I will be the one that will shave a few minutes from my presentation to help the others keep up with time. The project that we're working on is basically combining all of the above, which is personalized artificial intelligence, trying to find the right information at the right time, the expedite processing, which is the ability to automate some of the repetitive tasks within our communication patterns and behaviors, and eventually combining all of those within the voice experience, which is brand new, but definitely can project the ability to do things during our commute. So we've done a project together with a major company that I'm sure you can figure out which one is it from my presentation. So with your permission, I would like to screen up a video of a minigun change.
Ask Knowmail if I have any urgent emails regarding my upcoming meeting.
Yes, you have 5 urgent relevant emails and it will take you 3 minutes to complete. 1 from Kate about our meeting today, 2 from your manager regarding Kate's discount approval, and 2 from Kate's account manager. Do you want me to start with Kate's email?
Yes, and then read Jack's.
Sure. Kate wrote, looking forward to our meeting today. Can you please ask Danny to join us? What do you want to do now?
Reply to Kate, sure, I will, period. Also forward Danny F. the invite.
Okay. Sent to Kate and Danny. Next 2 emails are part of the conversation between you and Jack about Kate's discount approval. Jack wrote in the first email, got it. I'll update you ASAP. And updated later, okay. You can give her a 15% discount for the next 6 months. Makes sense? What do you want to do now?
Reply, thanks, appreciate it, period. Also remind me a half hour before my meeting with Kate to update the presentation.
Sent. A reminder was set 30 minutes before your meeting with Kate. Next emails are from Kate's account manager. Do you want me to read them?
Not right now. Remind me to read them at my desk. Thanks.
Okay, I'll remind you. Good luck with your meeting.
So I believe that was a kind of a snapshot about what are the potential that can be done around commuting and whether we can use that time to do actual work safer, and use that to kind of keep us calm when we enter the office, knowing that we do not have to process our inbox right at that second, and we can definitely defer some of the work for later time. So thank you again for having me and Knowmail in this webinar, and I look forward to your questions.